What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. And today, I want to talk to African Americans, and I want to explain to them my plan for reparations. Okay? This is what we have to do in order to get reparations in a country that does not want to give us reparations. There is a way for us to get reparations. As daunting of a task as it is in the environment that we find ourselves, there is only one way to get reparations. And I'm going to explain to you in the simplest form possible how to do it. Now, if we don't do it, we will not get reparations. And it's just that simple. Because you see, all of your groups that you have associated yourself with, like FBA and ADOS, you see, they say they want reparations, but all the actions that they have taken to this point have been anti-reparations, whether you know it or not. Keep in mind, we are playing chess, not checkers, all right? They have been playing checkers, barely. Pan-Africans have been playing chess, along with Monopoly, because this is going to take chess and Monopoly for us to do this. And there's literally only one way to do it. And it's going to take resolve. It's going to take discipline. It's going to take an open mind. And it's going to take tolerance and maturity to do this. But we can do it because African Americans have displayed the capability of doing these things in the past. But we have to do it on a grander scale. Okay? So, first things first, you cannot be xenophobic because we're going to need allies in order to do this, period. And the only allies we have access to are Africans and Caribbeans. Why? Because they're our brothers and sisters, okay? So the xenophobic rhetoric, the hateful rhetoric, the diaspora wars is counterintuitive for African Americans to get our reparations for us specifically, okay? And if you're truly about getting reparations, listen to my plan. And you take my plan and what I'm talking about, compare it to Yvette Carnell's plan, compare it to Tariq Nasheed's plan, and you see which one of us has the better plan and who has articulated it and actually had a thoughtful idea of what it is to do. Because I haven't heard a plan from Tariq. I just hear him complaining, saying we need reparations. I haven't really heard a plan from Yvette Carnell. Not really. But I think this kind of goes more along, to be honest, Yvette Carnell's plan that she does have. But we're kind of lining up on the plan. But she's a psyop for white supremacy. So she would never actually implement this plan because it goes against who she works for. Okay. So in order for reparations in order for African Americans specifically to get our reparations, our portion of reparations, we're going to need the help of the Caribbeans and the Africans. Period. Okay. Now, first thing first, voting. Every black person needs to vote. 90 million Americans didn't vote in the last election because we have apathy towards voting because we've been constantly convinced that it doesn't work. The reason why it doesn't work is because you don't vote. The trick is to stop the masses from voting because the masses actually agree on most things, but the masses refuse to get up because they're disenfranchised by the voting process. Corporations spend billions of dollars. The money that they spend is on advertisement to convince you that voting doesn't work, while convincing their constituents, the racist white people who are jealous of everything that we do, to get up and go vote. As you notice, you don't hear any right-wing Christian conservative movements in this country telling their people not to vote. You don't hear any pundits telling their people not to vote because they know voting matters. White folks in America are losing their voting power because they don't have the numbers. The institution and the structure of America is racist because the people inside of it are racist. And racists have had an advantage to have the money to pay for campaign dollars in order to convince certain people not to vote and certain people to vote. That's as plain as I can put it. Okay? African Americans have a significant voting bloc in this country. We are very powerful. We are a very powerful voting bloc in this country. That's why the Republicans do things called gerrymandering in order to take away our power in each state. Because as we increase, as we move about this country and move into the areas that were historically white, we are now representing these districts and changing the politics of these places. As we do that, we grab more and more power as we multiply and spread across America. That is why they gerrymander states. That is why they have to do all these things to stop us from voting. That is why they're about voter suppression, because they're trying to suppress the ever-growing power of the African American. Okay? Now, the reason why we have to stop being xenophobic and hateful is because we need to encourage immigration. Why? African Americans have historically fought for immigrants. African Americans don't have a problem with immigrants. Immigrants don't come to America and steal our jobs, as we don't do those jobs anymore. I don't think that we're going out there picking any fruit. I don't think many of us want to go clean and sweep floors. I don't think we're doing those type of jobs. There's plenty of space in America. America's humongous. It's sparsely populated, especially in those historical white areas of the country. Because remember, the European population is going extinct slowly, actually very fast, right? We need more people in the country to produce the revenue the states need to operate. That's how America makes its money, through people working, through people paying taxes. If there's no people, there's no tax money being created. States have no money. There is no money for us. Do you understand? Now, we've been tricked in thinking that we care about immigration. The only people who care about immigration are white people, because the immigrants are brown and not white, because there's not enough white people globally to move to America to keep it a white ethno state while building the population of America. That is the Europeans' existential problem. But for us, we have conservatively 1.4 billion Africans that we can collaborate with if we have good relations with. Doesn't mean you have to move to Africa. Doesn't mean you even got to take a vacation to Africa. It just means you need to encourage immigration, especially from Africa. Because first of all, I don't think African Americans would enjoy being an inbred African population. As Europeans are inbred European population in every one of their colonies outside of Europe. Why? Because the Europeans have spread themselves out so thin, and because of their weak genetic capabilities, they're not having their gene pool replaced. So over generations, everybody becomes cousins. That's why the European Americans are the most inbred Europeans and the second most inbred group of human beings on the planet outside of Pakistan. They're the most inbred. With inbred comes obviously problems, genetic issues. We don't want to have that problem. So as a group of isolated Africans, it behooves us to make sure we have new, fresh genetic admixture into our group. So we need our Caribbeans, we need our Afro-Latinos, and we need our continental Africans to make sure we don't be cousins again. You understand what I'm saying? We don't want to be cousins. We don't want to be cousins for real, right? So that's a plus on that. Plus, we need them to participate in the political process with us so that we can bolster our numbers, because everybody knows numbers is power. It's a numbers game. Forget Jollof Rice Wars, forget Essence Festival, forget these festivals and all the small-minded stuff that we fight over that means nothing at the end of the day. We're talking about real power. Real power. So if we want real power, we need to bolster our numbers. We need as many Africans to come here as possible. We need to flood America with as many people that look like us as possible. And the thing about Africans is they integrate with other Africans. That's a problem Europeans seem to have with other people, because no one integrates with them. Nobody wants to be white. Nobody really wants to be part of European culture. But thankfully for us, our African brothers and sisters and our Caribbeans have no problem integrating with us because the integration is seamless, seeing how we're so similar. Yes, we have differences. We are a distinct group of people. African Americans are a distinct group of people. And we will never be forgotten, as we are legend already. Just like the Haitians are a distinct group of people. They are legend already. Just like the Jamaicans are a distinct group of people. They are a legend already. We are all legends. We've all contributed to the liberation of us black people on the Western Hemisphere. We all have stories of heroes of struggle. You understand? But it's time for us to come together for the collective. You see, the United States is not the only group of people that owe us reparations. Britain owes us reparations. France, the Dutch, Spain. We have multiple different European groups that owe us reparations. The Jamaicans, the Caribbeans, all the Caribbeans are owed reparations by the Europeans. The Afro-Latinos are owed reparations by the Europeans. The continent of Africa, because of colonization, are owed reparations from the Europeans. But understand, in reality, these white countries don't have the money to pay us. They really don't. All right? But we can take it. We can make it happen anyway. And how do we do it? Making voting great again. We all in America, if you are a black American, if you are a African American, if you are FBA, if you are freedmen, if you are black Native American, if you are a dose, despite the leaders, we ain't talking about the leaders. If you are one of those, you need to make it your business to vote, even if you don't believe in it. Get up and physically go do it anyway. Why? Because we have the numbers to sway any election if we were to get up and actually physically vote one day. It just takes one day for us to take a collective action. We can control the politics in America. We need to start paying attention to the politics in America because we need to put senators and congressmen in every state legislature, in every house, in every senate of every state that we reside in. Every one of them. We need to flood the zone. Learn from your enemy. We need to flood the zone with our people that look like us. But before we do that, we need to make sure that they're like us. So we need to pay attention to the politicians that's running within our districts. And we need to ask them straight out, are you for reparations? We need to make that a thing. The same way Europeans make their litmus test, the Second Amendment, because, white people need that gun. They need that gun because that's the only equalizer they have against us. So we need to do the same. Learn from our enemies. Are you for reparations? We should not support any politician that's not for reparations. We shouldn't support any politician that wavers when we ask them for reparations. When we ask them, are you for reparations? They need to immediately say yes with their whole chest. That should be our litmus test. No matter what color the politician is. Keep in mind, you guys stay open mind, because there are some people who will vote for reparations in order to take favor with African Americans. Because whatever group of people supports the African American in their fight for reparations will forever have favor with the African Americans. You got to play the game. You got to play diplomacy. Understand, it's diplomacy. That's why you got to take your feelings out and be strategic. You understand? We need to flood the zone with those who support reparations, and then we need to hold them account. Meaning, if they don't do what they say they're going to do, they got to go. But understand, one politician can't do it. We need to have enough politicians to make legislative changes in the states. We can force each state to draft up reparations legislation for particular states. So we can do it state by state. We can also force the federal government to do it when we get enough people that look like us within one particular party. Now, it's not going to be the Republican Party. I think it should be obvious to anybody with at least 2 brain cells. And even if one of them don't work, you should understand it will not come via the political party of the Republicans, because that is the apparatus of our enemy. That is the vehicle for our enemy to fight against us. Okay? We have to use the Democratic Party because we're in a 2-party system, unless we're willing to make a 3rd party. But understand, 3rd parties fail. No matter how inspirational they are, no matter how funded they are, they fail. So what we do is we take power where we already have it, within the progressive and liberal departments of the Democratic Party. We push out all centrist Democrats that won't support reparations. We push out all conservative Democrats that don't support reparations. We need to make politics a part of the black lexicon. The same way we make hip hop, the same way we can analyze and pontificate hip hop artists, the same way we concentrate on degenerate activity within the African American community, we need to start concentrating on politics. Make that shit fun. Now wrap that shit in hip hop wrapping paper. Make it cool enough and palatable enough for us to be interested in it. Actually learn how politics works so you can use it as a weapon instead of just using pseudo-intellectualism to say what you feel instead of saying what you know. We need to take over the federal political system, and we need to do that with numbers. You see, if we had enough senators and we pressured those senators and we told those senators we would not support them unless they support reparations, they would be pressured into doing what we say. Now, how do we fight against corporations that spend billions of dollars that we cannot possibly compete with as a group of people? Because we ain't got it like that. First, we also need to say, are you willing to overturn Citizens United? We need to overturn Citizens United because that gave the corporations power to give unlimited money to candidates. We need to make politics funded by public funding. It needs to be, all politics should be publicly funded, meaning regular people like me and you are the only ones who can donate to political candidates, making the playing field level. So we need to vet our candidates. Do you support reparations? And we need to overturn Citizens United. If we vet our candidates that they support reparations and we overturn Citizens United, the politicians will not be able to be threatened by corporations like AIPAC because they couldn't do anything about it. There's nothing they could do about it. They couldn't throw billions of dollars to destroy our politicians. They couldn't throw billions of dollars to defeat our politicians because it would be illegal to do so. They couldn't do it. So we need to overturn Citizens United. Every black content creator who's serious about reparations need to be talking about overturning Citizens United. If you're not talking about overturning Citizens United, there's a massive master lock on the door and we ain't never gonna get on the other side. Okay? So after we do that, we need to encourage our brothers and sisters from the continent and from the Caribbean to support African Americans' push for reparations. And in turn, we need to support our Caribbean brothers and sisters in their fight for reparations from Europe. That means we need to put our political power and our numbers and our influence behind the Caribbeans so that they can get their reparations from Europe. We need to give them the energy that we want them to give us. We also need to give the energy to the continental Africans, right, in their fight for reparations because of colonization and the thievery of all of our African history that's locked up in their European museums, including in America. We need to give them all of our energy, that power, that influence to them so they can continue to fight. Give them all the tools and amplify the message. That way, in turn, they will do the same thing and amplify us. We need to amplify our Afro-Latinos in their fight for reparations against Europe. We need to give them all of our power and our energy. We need to put batteries in their back and amplify their voices so they can fight to Europe to get that reparations, to get some sort of reparative justice. You see, when we work as a team for all of our individual reparations movements, we all collectively, we have so much power that we cannot be denied. That means we need to fund politicians in the Caribbean that's fighting for reparations and liberation from neo-colonialism, fighting to detach themselves from these Europeans that continue to siphon from them. We need to support Africa like we support the Ibrahim Traoré when finally somebody of our generation is fighting back against the European empires. We need to put batteries in the back. We all need to come together like that. You see, Africans don't want our reparations. They want their reparations. Caribbeans don't want our reparations. They want their reparations. We don't want Africa's reparations and we don't want Caribbean's reparations. We want our reparations. But here's the thing. We all speak how many languages from the European? Spanish, well, Portuguese, English, French. Those are all white nations. Those are the ops. Those are the ones that owe us collectively. So we have to be smart. So us fighting over stupid stuff delays our ability to get what we want. We have to be a unit. Individuals, of course, separate in some occasions, but we have to work collectively together. African Americans, we need to take over America. And we need our African brothers and sisters to come over and help us take over America. We need our Caribbean brothers and sisters to help us take over America. We need to take it over. Listen, we need to take it over. We have all the tools. We have the population. We got the resources. All we need is to put it together, right? Form it, organize it, fire that bitch off like a laser. You see, we need Africans like myself to come to Africa. We need African Americans to come to Africa and build Fortune 500 companies, benefiting the continental Africans by creating jobs and opportunities, and also creating more billionaires, more African American billionaires. The same way white Europeans go and start businesses in other countries. We have to have an international policy. If you truly, as African Americans, see yourselves as global, if you see yourself as truly powerful, you have to have foreign policy. We need to change the foreign policy of America to an African American foreign policy of unity and cooperation. So we, as a nation within a nation, need to create a foreign policy where we send our own NGOs and diplomats to the Caribbeans and coordinate as African Americans, independent from this European system in which we are forced to live under. And we need to build our business and social connections with the Caribbeans. We need to do the same thing in Africa. That way, if we have Fortune 500 companies owned by African Americans because they took advantage of the vast resources of the continent, that's also your birthright. And there's no friction because they're willing and able and allowing you and asking you, almost in some cases begging you to come and take advantage of what belongs to you. From a safe place on the continent where you can't be mired by European policies and red tape. You can safely, from a distance, build your empire. And then when you become ridiculously rich, when you have generational wealth, you can take that wealth, you can turn it back around to America, come back to America, and use that wealth to build up institutions within America itself. You see what I'm saying? You don't abandon America. We're going to keep it. We African Americans need to start thinking bigger. We need to start thinking globally. We need to take everything. We need to help our African brothers and sisters continue to take over Europe, as they're doing now. Europe needs to belong to us too. Why not? Africa belonged to Europe for quite a long time. It's our turn to take over. We need to take over Europe. We need to take over all of America. We need to take over all the places that the barbarian savages took over. Because I guarantee you, we would be better stewards of the community if we were in power. I guarantee you. That's the kind of mindset I'm on. That's that Pan-African shit. We need to take over every place these barbarian hordes come from. All their colonies. We need to take Australia. We need to flood Australia. We need to take over Australia on behalf of our brothers and sisters over there and empower the Aboriginals of Australia to take back what belongs to them. We need to be like a team. Don't you play basketball? Don't you play football? You see how teams work? Now, if you was on a basketball team and you was on a football team and you hoarded the ball, what would happen? While the other team's playing together, but you're playing like an individual, what would happen? You'd lose because you don't have any coordination. You're not willing to share. We have to stop having main character syndrome and be a collective, be that community that we are naturally. Use our inherent powers as Black people and our persuasion and our ingenuity and our genius to make environments so our children can be raised in safe environments so they can use their brain and flourish and continue to build shit. Continue to invent things that take humanity to the next century. You see, we're going to be the ones to go to Mars. We are going to be the ones to explore the universe. We are going to be the ones to build the spaceships. We are going to be the ones to make first contact with intelligent life outside of this universe. That's going to be us. I need you to understand the future is Black. But if you want to take the future, we have to unite with our brothers and sisters. If you have a problem with your brothers and sisters because of the ignorant things that they say, you must use discipline and deal with that person on an individual basis just off the strength of the unity necessary for us collectively to get what we want. So we need to make voting important. So don't sit on the couch like Tariq Nasheed would tell you. Don't do that. Go vote. Take over political power like Yvette Carnell would tell you. But since she's a hateful, xenophobic, white supremacist agent, don't battle your brothers and sisters in the Caribbean thinking that they want something from you when in fact they want what's owed to them as well. And if you're a mature African American who knows just a little bit about history, you will understand that our Caribbean brothers and sisters, our Latino brothers and sisters, and our continental Africans all struggled under the same thumb of the same savage Neanderthal barbarian. It's time to take the barbarian and put him in a museum. It's time to take white culture and put it in a museum. It's time for us to build museums, putting them inside and putting them on display. Past tense, if you understand what I mean. So that's what we need to do, and that's my plan. That's the big plan. That's the big picture. So we have to use some cultural discipline and stop fighting with each other. Now, if you need to get your cultural frustration and pride out, we need to participate in inter-African games. Create inter-African games. You want to battle for food? Let's create some food competitions where African Americans, Caribbeans, and Africans battle in the kitchen for fun and good spirit. You want to battle with your brothers and sisters? Let's battle on the dance floor and let's see who got the best moves, who can vibrate and gyrate the best. Let's make it fun. Let's not be negative about it. You want to battle? You want to battle with your brothers and sisters intellectually? Let's have great debates. How are we supposed to move forward once we finally take over the world? Because best believe we're going to have another set of issues once we're finally taking over the world, because there'll be different factions of African people with different ideas of which direction we're going to go, and we're going to fight. That's just reality. So let's start the arena of debate now. Let's create positive environments where we can come together, battle, but leave as brothers and sisters. That's what we need to do. Because every time a black person unites with another black person, a white person gets angry. Remember that. Every time a black person and another black person get together and do something, white people get jealous. Why? Because they know the potential. Once we start loving on each other and that African love starts rolling and that ball gets bigger and bigger, at some point it's not going to be able to stop. So we all must come to an understanding. We are not each other's enemy. We are more alike than we are different. And we are, in fact, the only allies that we have on this planet. So, if you like my plan, if you are ADOS, FBA, Freedman, Black Indian, Pan-African, Caribbean African, Afro-Latino, and you live in the United States of America, Caribbean, African, and you understand what I just said in the simplest terms that I can say it, this is what we need to do in order for all of us collectively to get our reparations. You can't do anything on your own. Okay? Tell me what you think in the comment section. This is Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
Estimated cost of reparations. Population and inflation factors. Current African American population, approximately 42 million. Time period, approximately 246 years of slavery, 1619 to 1865, followed by 150 years of discrimination. Inflation-adjusted value of unpaid slave labor, estimated between $10 trillion and $20 trillion in today's dollars, depending on the methodology. Methods of calculation: A. Labor compensation model. Average modern wage, adjusted for 246 years of forced labor, approximately $500,000 to $1 million per person. Total cost equal to $21 trillion to $42 trillion. B. Wealth gap compensation model. Current median black family wealth is $17,000 versus $170,000, closing this gap directly equal to $10 trillion to $14 trillion. C. Comprehensive damages model. Includes forced labor, Jim Crow segregation, redlining, mass incarceration, cultural loss. Some scholars estimate $50 to $100 trillion over time for a truly comprehensive package. Realistic reparation range, Low-end conservative, approximately $10 trillion. Mid-range, approximately $20 to $30 trillion. High-end comprehensive, approximately $100 trillion. 2. Impact on U.S. economy and global markets. U.S. GDP context. U.S. GDP 2024, approximately $28 trillion year. National debt 2024, approximately $34 trillion. Paying even $10 to $20 trillion would be equivalent to 35 to 70% of annual GDP, or adding nearly 60% to the national debt. Possible economic outcomes. Negative impacts. Inflation spike if reparations were paid all at once. Devaluation of the U.S. dollar due to rapid debt issuance. Loss of investor confidence, rising interest rates, stock market volatility, and potential capital flight. Possible credit downgrade for U.S. Treasury bonds. Positive offsets. Reparations would stimulate the economy, especially in black communities. Increased consumer spending could raise GDP. If done through trust funds, investments, or land grants, economic shock could be reduced. Could enhance national unity and long-term productivity by closing the racial wealth gap. 3. Value of the U.S. dollar after reparations. If $10 to $30 trillion were introduced suddenly, the dollar would likely devalue by 15 to 30% in global markets. Global faith in the dollar as the world reserve currency might be shaken temporarily. However, if reparations were paid over 20 to 50 years, the dollar would recover and inflation could be controlled. Final summary. Scenario estimated cost dollar impact economy impact. Low-end reparations, $10 trillion minus 10 to minus 15% value drop moderate debt increase. Mid-range most cited, $20 to $30 trillion minus 20 to minus 30% value drop severe short-term inflation. Long-term structured plan, $30 to $50 trillion over decades controlled impact stimulative gradual wealth repair. Lump sum high-end $100 trillion major dollar collapse global financial crisis risk. Conclusion. Reparations are economically possible but would require a structured multi-generational approach, not a single check. If done wisely, it could close centuries-old wealth gaps without collapsing the U.S. economy, especially if assets like land, education, healthcare, and business grants are prioritized alongside direct cash payments.
Wait. Before you go, for all my subscribers and philanthropists out there, I'm building a solar power community water bowl system in Nigeria. It's going to cost between $5,000 and $6,000. I'm trying to raise money. If you want to participate and help me build this solar power water system, please donate to the Cash App and put solar water in the notes. Solar water in the notes. I'll put PayPal, Stripe, and Zelle. Anyway, thank you. That's all I got to say. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out. Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.